Someone can approach me right now and say, oh,
You look nice today.
so does that mean I look like a fucking bum every other day of the week? I get it. When I don't have a haircut, I look a little homeless. I've accepted that. My widow's peak, it is a widow's peak. I get it. I got the Vegeta hairline going on right now. But what do you truly mean by that? And do you mean that compliment?
What the fuck is a righteous glory?
If you've seen a channel name before, then you already know who I am. You know, I would definitely classify myself as what some would call an overthinker. I tend to live a lot of my life in my own head because the space in my own head is a lot of the time a lot more interesting than the world out here. On a positive side, I'm an excellent strategist without even really realizing it. So if you ever needed a hitman for hire, you know who to hit up. Actually, no, you don't know who to hit up, but you can DM me on Instagram because it's less
Conspicuous.
But on the negative side, because I'm stuck in my head often, I tend to either be too far in the past or too far in the future. I think so much to the point where I start to create these alternative realities within my head that starts to really dramatically affect my emotional state. I can be having a good ass day and then I just think about some shit that fucks me up and it creates some situation that doesn't exist or has not come to exist yet, and it just fucks up my whole day. I'm always trying to rationalize and make sense of everything that happens in front of me, and that's especially true with people. People are so interesting because they make no sense, but then at the same time, because they don't make sense, that makes sense. If that makes sense. Humans contradict themselves all the time in their behaviors and their actions and their words. There's so many things that make us as humans flawed and imperfect. So it drives me a little crazy when I start to overanalyze other human beings, especially their behaviors, because again, humans don't make sense, and that in itself is what makes sense. And those two things contradict each other. So that just fucks my brain multiple times in a day, sometimes in a week. And I struggle to truly accept this reality. One small thing from a change of tone or a random compliment of my appearance one day can lead to a whole plethora of thoughts that are unrelated to anything that's actually going on. Someone can approach me right now and say, oh,
You look nice today.
so does that mean I look like a fucking bum every other day of the week? I get it. When I don't have a haircut, I look a little homeless. I've accepted that. My widow's peak, it is a widow's peak. I get it. I got the Vegeta hairline going on right now. But what do you truly mean by that? And do you mean that compliment? I don't appreciate or like when people say things just because they feel like they should say it or that they're supposed to say it. Say what the fuck you actually mean and what the fuck you actually feel. Say what's on your mind, because that is what I really appreciate, the truth. The point is, I tend to make my life a lot harder than it actually needs to be. I think too much. I'm always stuck up here instead of actually appreciating what is out here. I've been practicing this thing recently that starts with a G. Grape, Gangar, granola, gratitude, that's the word, gratitude. In the moment, a lot of the things that I'm experiencing or feeling can feel like the worst things in the world. And that's with every single situation that I go through. Like how 2 months ago, I was standing in this hot ass DMV waiting to pick up my permit. And on top of that, one of the receptionists wanted to give me this badass attitude. I don't know what it was. I'm assuming it's because I was young and because I did not know what the fuck I was doing or where I was at or why I was there, because it's hard to navigate that shit. I'm new to this shit, okay? I was very obviously new, so I ask a lot of questions when I don't know what the fuck is going on. Or how on the 4th of July, I was down $250 on travel alone just so I can show up to work 2 hours late. Or how despite the fact that I have so much more going on in my life currently, I seem to lack a whole lot of motivation to keep up with everything that's going on. When these things are happening, they seem like the worst things in the world. But when I look back on it, they weren't that bad. Because I waited those 2 hours in that hot ass DMV with that stank ass lady with her stank ass breath and her stank ass job, fuck that lady, I'm one step closer to being able to drive. Because I spent all that money on July 4th, I realized that I need to start paying more attention to all the things that are going on around me, because I tend to be very unaware of my surroundings or just sometimes too lazy to confirm anything. And for the last thing, I used to complain a few months ago that I had nothing to do, and now I have a whole lot of shit to do, and it can be a little overwhelming and it can seem like a lot at times, but I do appreciate the fact that I'm finally taking off with a lot of the things that were once just a vision, a dream, a thought. These thoughts are becoming a reality, and I worked so hard to get here. So I've learned to value discipline over motivation majority of the time, because motivation is not reliable. It's like emotions, they come and go. Accepting these things puts me in this blissful state. A blissful state in which I can finally appreciate the things that I once loathed or hated or just was disgusted by. A lot of the time, these things that come into our lives don't matter as much as we allow them to matter. You're having a falling out with someone. A few months from now, that person probably won't even cross your mind. And you might say, oh, that's great, that's a few months from now. What do I do now? What you can do now is be accountable and do some shit with your life. Like if you're sitting around thinking and pondering on a situation that no longer exists or is no longer your reality, you're just gonna make yourself miserable. Because fault doesn't take away from responsibility. You still have a life to live. So don't waste it being bitter, because in hindsight, it honestly wasn't even that bad.